Explanation of, because it's filled with descriptions of the hereafter of Jannah, and it's one of the few places, if not the only spot in the Quran that has the amount of description of Jannah that this surah has. Every other incident in the Quran where it describes paradise, it's much shorter than the one that's in Surat Al-Insan. So it says much is the longest by far, and it's the richest in terms of what it talks about. It's extremely rich in the different types of descriptions that it offers to Jannat al-Na'im. And the reason it does that, obviously, because this is the form of da'wah that this surah performs. And there are 3 surahs at the end of Juz' al-Tabarak that perform da'wah in different ways. Qiyamah does it from the concept of reason, of purpose. It speaks to the intellect. It speaks to the consciousness, which is the first thing that you do. Whenever you perform da'wah, you have to talk to that first. You don't play on the chords of emotion right off the bat. Make sure that it makes sense first. And then Surat Al-Insan does the same thing, but it focuses on desire, on reward, on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in place for you. And then Musalat talks about punishment, which is another form of da'wah, because we need all 3. We need that intellect, and then we need the first wing, which is the desire in His reward, and the second wing, which is the fearfulness of fair punishment. And without these 3 elements, da'wah is always going to be missing something, and it's going to be difficult to perform it, and difficult to deliver it, and difficult to receive it as well. So that being said, we started with Surat Al-Insan, and the way it began was fascinating and beautiful, and I spent the full hour last week just talking about the first 4 verses, so you can go back and listen to them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins the story from the beginning. He starts right off the bat from the beginning of the whole story, from way before we existed. Was there a time where we didn't exist? Because the first thing that, in order for the blessing of Jannah to make sense, you have to go back in time to when the first blessing was offered, so that you can count them all. So you can accumulate all the blessings, so they make sense. He's not going to start right now, after He's already given you Allahu Alam how many trillion blessings, and now you're going to start counting now. That's not fair. Go count from the beginning. Not from the beginning of your life or mine. Go start from the beginning of life, that first blessing, and then move on forward and see. And when you start doing that math, it becomes much more, we start feeling much more grateful, and Jannah as a blessing becomes much more meaningful to us. And that's why he told it that way, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we'll start with ayah number 5, where he begins to speak about Jannah. Now the surah, as every other part of the Quran that talks about the hereafter, has a verse that talks about punishment. Even the surah that is focused on talking about Jannah will have one ayah. إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ سَلَاسِلَ وَأَغْلَالًا وَسَعِيرًا. That's the ayah. That's it. Everything else in Surah Al-Insan is going to be focused on reward. And there'll be a reminder at the end of it, but it's just a reminder. And then when we recite together Surah Al-Mursalat, you'll find the same thing. The focus of the surah is talking about Yawm al-Qiyamah and Jahannam, but there's going to be a part of it that also talks about Jannah. And never in the Quran do you find a unilateral approach where it only talks about one of the 2. It'll talk about both, maybe in different degrees. Maybe this will be talked about more than that because of the purpose of the approach and who it's speaking to, but always both will come in. All right, and the intellect will always be tickled. If you notice, the first 4 verses of Surah Al-Insan are talking to the human being, to the mind, talking to, do you recognize that you didn't always exist as a human being? That you were once, there was a time where you weren't even a thought. There was no promise of you at all. You weren't even a thing, and then I made you a thing. So that's always going to be a part of every da'wah. You have to have a certain degree of your khitab, of your narrative, directed towards the intellect, towards the mind, and then some of it towards the desire part, like the reward, and some of it towards punishment and negative consequences. And you will balance that out depending on the people in front of you, like who they are, what works for them. Everyone has a key. كل واحد له مفتاح, is what the Shaykh used to tell us. Each person has a key, meaning a key to their heart. Something will ignite interest in them. So you have to be, as someone who's performing da'wah, you have to have that wisdom and that experience and that understanding to know what you're going to say to the person in front of you. Because if you spend a long time focusing on one of the 3 elements and it doesn't mean anything to them, they'll get bored quickly and then walk away. Even though what you're saying makes sense. Like you're saying the right things, it's just that's not what moves them. It's not desire it's not Jannah that moves them. It's not, or it's not the intellect, it's Jannah. So you have to figure out, you have to be basir, You have to have insight regarding the needs of the people that you're speaking to, and that's hard. That's one of the most difficult pieces to perform. It takes a long time, and when you're teaching heterogeneous communities that are very complex and diverse, and people from all over the world and from different backgrounds and different walks of life, it's one heck of an endeavor. It's not fun at all, because there's nothing I can do that will please everyone, or even the majority. It's too difficult. Everyone has a different. You're looking for something different, and a part of it is also on the listener. That this is not. I'm not putting on Ma Yatlubuhu al-Jamhur. I've heard that show that used to back in the day. There used to be shows that came on in Arabia where it's called Ma Yatlubuhu al-Jamhur, whatever the audience wants. And you would just call in and say, "Can you put this song for me? Can you play this whatever clip for me?" And then back in the day, there was only one channel to watch, and people would wait and watch it. My job is not to say what you want to hear. My job is to say what you need to hear. Right? Whether you agree with it or you don't, whether you like it or you don't, whether it suits you or you don't, you have to listen to that. And I have to have the freedom to say that without fear of being bullied or repercussions based on preference of the people in front of me. Obviously, if I'm saying something wrong, that's harmful, then that's a whole different story. Of course, you're going to come and inquire or point that out. But you have to, as a listener, you also have to be willing to hear that maybe there are things. Or else, as a speaker, if I don't challenge you, if I don't challenge your inherited stances, if I don't challenge your cultural baggage, if I don't challenge how you see things, then there's no hope for you to change. And that should be what your goal is when you come to the masjid and you come to listen to any dars, at any point, from any person, not talking about me, anywhere in the world, then your intention has to be, I need to be better. I have to change. I need whoever's speaking to me to push me to be a better person, to grant me that extra motivation, so I go forward and I leave behind what I should leave behind. If I just say what you want to hear, then I'm kind of if I'm preaching to the choir basically in my narrative, then you'll become content with yourself. And content with yourself is the worst thing you can be. If you feel like I'm doing well, that's the worst thing you can feel. Never, always look at yourself and hold yourself accountable and push yourself forward. And just as a sidetrack note I wanted to share with you. All right, we'll start with, inshallah, with ayah number 5, and we'll enjoy these beautiful verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins to describe for us the rewards of Ahlul Jannah. طيب. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كافورا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله يفجرونها تفجيرا يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستطيرا. So he begins subhanahu wa ta'ala and he says, Innal abrar, indeed the virtuous. And it comes from the root of birr, which is what we use to speak of our relationship with our parents, birr al-walidain, for example. And birr is the highest level of virtuity. So, as in, if you're someone who has good ethics, the highest level of good ethics is called birr, basically. Al-abrar are those who have the highest ethics, not the good ethics or the reasonable or the decent or the bare minimum of good ethics, but no, those who aim for the best ethics and they have the best. And that is the human, manifestation of ihsan. So ihsan, which is excellence, it manifests itself in people that are going to be called abrar, the people who are the most virtuous of all. Innal abrar, indeed those who are most virtuous. Yashrabuna min ka'sin, they will drink from a cup or from a glass. Kana mizajuha kafura, the drink that is in it, whatever they're drinking from, because as the Quran points out, there are rivers يعني فيها أنهار يعني من لبن لم يتغير طعمه وانهار من خمرة لذة للشاربين وانهار من عسل مصفى وانهار من ماء يعني بغير آسن. So it talks about the rivers of pure sparkling water and rivers of wine that does not intoxicate and ruin the brain, and rivers of purified honey, and rivers of milk, like pure milk. Yeah, it talks about all these different things that you drink in Jannah. Inna al-abrar, the virtuous, yashrabuna min. So it starts drawing a picture for you. Like the verses draw this picture of a virtuous person, yashrabuna, sitting around, they're drinking from a glass or a cup. Whatever is in it, mizajuha, is being mixed with camphor or kafur. I think that's what it's called, right? Isn't that what kafur is? It's called, isn't it camphor, or is there some other name for it? Kafur is a type of spice that they used to put in the drinks. You know how they sometimes put a lemon on the side of whatever you're drinking, like water or something. So kafur in Arabia was a type of spice that had a beautiful scent. It came from a certain type of plant. It had a beautiful scent, and it gave a very refreshing taste. So it kind of opened up the sinuses and opened up the throat when you drank it. So kana mizajuha kafura, and it was a delicacy in Arabia, something that you couldn't come by very often, and it cost a lot of money. So he's saying that every time they are drinking, they're always drinking with the kafur in it. عَيْنًا يَشْرَبُ بِهَا عِبَادُ اللَّهِ. So the ayah explains things a little bit more. It says that kafur here, in the word kafur that is being said here, is not the same kafur that you have. It's a ayn. It's a gushing spring. عَيْنًا يَشْرَبُ بِهَا عِبَادُ اللَّهِ. That the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will use to drink, to add to their drinks. Meaning it's a gushing spring of kafur that is used just to mix with the drinks, just to make the drinks a little bit more refreshing for people. يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا. They can make it explode from the ground at will. Meaning if you're like, where's the kafur? You will, on will, you will have it come gushing out of the ground, and you'll fill your sit down and drink your kafur with whoever you want. If you come visit me and there's no kafur, then I'll just, you'll by will bring it. يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا. The beauty of listening to the verses obviously is the different types of na'im that he points out, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what I am interested for you to do is notice the different categories of na'im that he points out. So he also, subhanahu wa ta'ala, will point out categories of na'im. Na'im, like as in pleasure or blessings that are drink-based or food-based, that are based, that are physical, that are spiritual, that are psychological, that are social, that are financial. Like he'll talk about all different types of bliss that you need. Because if you're missing any type of bliss, then you're not really happy. Like there's something missing for you. Like if you don't have physical bliss, meaning you're sick and you're hungry or you're tired, or you're in pain, for example. If you don't have financial bliss, meaning you don't have enough money to, then how happy can you be if you can't feed your children, for example, or you can't pay rent? If you have no friends, right? So socially you're not happy, then you're not. So subhanAllah, for us to find bliss in our lives, there's a few things that are required. We just need them, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala points out that Yawm al-Qiyamah in Jannah, He will cover all of the bases. All the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. You get everything that your soul and spirit and body need fully. And that's a big deal. Obviously, as a promise for us, it's very comforting to know that nothing's going to be missed. I'm not going to go there and find a really important part of my life is still empty. Because when we don't have certain parts of na'im in this life, there's an emptiness that comes with that. You feel a certain emptiness. People they're with you, they're smiling, but then they go home and there's that emptiness, it kicks in. Whether it's a spiritual emptiness, or it's a financial emptiness, or a social emptiness, or a physical emptiness. When they're alone, it kicks in. If there are people who are ill and in pain, they're sitting with you, they're laughing, and they go home and now they're stuck with their pain. They have to deal with this pain for the rest of the night. Or they go home and they're broke and they have no money now that they have to sit down and worry about that. Or they go home and they have their parents aren't around and they're not married, they have no kids and they have no friends. Like you don't have people to be around and they feel that loneliness kicks in. Or if they're empty spiritually, they don't have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their life and they go home and they have that emptiness. So the Quran, when it talks about Jannah, keep your eyes peeled and your ears open to how subhanahu wa ta'ala not only talks about things that are in Jannah, but also categories of bliss that He offers, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He covers usually all of them in any of the given verses, and this is a good example that he will. So he begins by saying that the abrar will drink from a cup filled and mixed with kafur. Kafur is a spring in Jannah that the servants of Allah will mix their drinks with, and they will have it will gush from the يفجرونها. They will bring it out from the ground, تفجيرا, at will, wherever they want. It will come to them they want it. It'll make itself available to them. يوفون, and then it starts. The ayah takes a moment. The verses take a little bit of a U-turn, like not a U-turn, but take a left just for a second. Then comes back again, and it describes them, because it said ibadullah, the servants of Allah in Jannah, the abrar that he just talked about. They get this. They not only drink whatever they want to drink, not only they mix it with the best delicacy of Jannah, but it's there at command. It's as needed. They want it, it comes right now. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says those ibad have certain descriptions. Like it's not. So He tells you who they are. So the first description He gives subhanahu wa ta'ala, yufuna bin nadhr. And nadhr is a vow. Is when you give a vow. So I think for this last exam that I wrote, did I have vows? I made a lot of vows. So when it finally happened, and I had made vows before that if the Asad leaves, falls, I gave this back when I met you. I had vows that if Asad ever leaves, if Asad ever goes, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So it all happened within like 6 months of each other. He leaves and I pass my exam, and now I have like this avalanche of vows that I have to fulfill. So I started slowly fulfilling them because they're expensive vows. Allah yahdini, I made all these vows. So one of them was I was going to اذبح 4 خواريف. And give. So my dad happened to be going to Syria, so I sent the money with him. one here, I did here, and then 3 I sent it there to feed. And then there's one that one of the nudur is I was going to اذبح kharoof and feed people outside of wellness, inshallah, in the summer. So there's going to be a day where there'll be one big kharoof and people will be eating, inshallah, for free, just to see through the vow. And I made, subhanAllah, so you make vows for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to keep them. You have to keep them. And now, from a jurisprudence perspective, if you don't keep them, then it serves as if you made a yameen and you broke it. Like if you said, Wallahi al-azim, and you broke your yameen, then you have a way to a kaffara. But it's frowned upon to ever do that. Like if you give your word to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see through something, and He gave you what you wanted, then you have to see through your vow to the best of your ability. So make sure that you do that, in your life. And now I have like 4 or 5 vows I still have to see through. Inshallah, they're all coming through, and I'll see them all through, But it's important to get. So yufuna bin nadhr. If they give, what is this encompassing? That if they gave their word, they were good for it. They were good for their word. They would never give their word and go back on it. And that includes saying, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. You give your word. This is you giving this is a covenant. This is a covenant. It's ahd. It's another. It's a vow. You vowed that you will walk His path, subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will follow His Habib, alayhi salatu wasalam. You're going to walk down live as he lived. That's your. So are you good for your word? Yufuna bin nadhr. Whenever they offer their word, they're good for it. Number 2, وَيَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا كَانَ شَرُّهُ مُسْتَطِيرًا. And they're in fear. They're truly in fear, not just something that they share verbally. They are truly in fear. They're fearful of a day, and its evil is off the charts. Mustatir is a word that comes from the root tir, something that flies. So mustatir, something that is flying off the charts, like it's way you can't control it. So kana sharruhu mustatira, its evil is all over the place. It's not containable, right? The evil is uncontainable. That's what it's saying. So they're in that first one, yufuna bin nadhr, they fulfill their vows and they're good for their word. Number 2, they're fearful of the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, where the evil of that day, the pain of that day, the difficulty of that day is off the charts. Something you can't control. And he continues. So we'll read the verses where he continues to describe them. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. إنا نخاف من ربنا يوما عبوسا قمطريرا. فوقاهم الله شر ذلك اليوم ولقاهم نضرة وسرورا وجزاهم بما صبروا جنة وحريرا. So he continues to describe them. He says, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامِ, and they feed food. They give food away. عَلَى حُبِّهِ, miskinan, they feed the food to miskin, the needy. وَيَتِيمًا, and the orphan. وَأَسِيرًا, and the prisoner of war, or the prisoner. The word that he uses here, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is of great beauty. He says, عَلَى حُبِّهِ, عَلَى حُبِّهِ, based on his love. So some scholars translate this, or tafseer, ala hubbihi, meaning even though they feed the food despite their love for the food. Despite their love for the food. And that's an acceptable explanation. But I don't think it's the accurate one. And the one that is more common and is more accurate in my opinion. Ala hubbihi, meaning based on the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, they feed the food to the needy and the orphan and the incarcerated. على حبه, for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are parts in subhanAllah, in Syria. I grew up and I witnessed this. I remember places. You would go there, and if you had no money, you would stand there and say, على حب الله, على حب الله, just for the love of Allah, and they'll give you a sandwich. I remember this very clearly. Like I remember as a kid, I witnessed this. Or على حب النبي عليه الصلاة, for the love of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. You say, صلي على النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. Here, they give you a sandwich. And I remember there's barakah those days. Like in Sham had barakah, because you would go, and if you truly were hungry and truly had no money, you could just stand there and say, ala hub Allah, just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the love of Allah, for the love, and they would go back to these verses. Now, these are the verses that I pointed out to you at the beginning of Surat Al-Insan. I told you that some scholars suggested that Surat Al-Insan is a Madani surah. It's definitely not a Madani surah. It's 100% a Makki surah, hands down, for sure. The narrative and the way it's recited is way too obvious. But the reason that some scholars say it's Madani is because of these verses and the story that's attached to them. And the way the story was attached to them made people think that maybe it was a Madani surah. And the story was of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib coming home one day to his great wife, Fatima az-Zahra alayhi salam. So he came to the house and he brought with him some food, and he goes in to freshen up and lie down and whatnot. And she's preparing the food. And as he's doing that, the door is knocked. So they go to Hassan or wherever goes, or sees who's at the door. And he said, Baba, it's a miskin. It's a miskin at the door, asking for food. So I said, give him a third. Take a third of the food and give it to him. So his son took a third of the food and gave it to the miskin. He comes back and they come to sit, another knock on the door. Khalas, I gave him a third. You see who it is? It's not the same person. Yeah, Baba, it's a yatim. A yatim and his mother are asking for food. Okay, give a half of the food, because there are two of them. So he gave a half. Now they have a third left. They sat down to eat. Another knock on the door. Who is it? It's one of the abid, one of the asara, one of the incarcerated prisoners that are stuck in Medina that can't pay to leave and can't. But he gave them the rest of the food. And he whatever he brought, they didn't need anything that night, and he gave it all away. So some scholars, the way they understood the story being narrated, as if the ayat came to point out what happened. That's not what happened. It's the opposite. It's the proper way for the Quran to exist. The Quran was taught. This surah was taught early on. So Sayyidina Ali and Fatima az-Zahra and their kids, they heard them. They heard وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, and they feed the food for the love of Allah, miskinan wa yatiman wa asira. So when they were granted the opportunity to practice this ayah, they didn't hesitate. They practiced the ayah as it existed in the Quran. The way the Sahaba lived their lives is a little bit different. They learned from the Prophet ﷺ to pick up on opportunities life will grant you opportunities to practice the Quran. Like life will give you a scenario where this scenario exists in the Quran, and here's what the good guy did, right? And then you have the opportunity to do exactly what the good guy did. And the opposite exists as well. The Quran will give you an opportunity, life will give you an opportunity where the Quran told the story, and here's what the bad guy did. But here's what he should have done. And then you have that opportunity to either do what the bad person did or do what they should have done. And the Sahaba, learning from the Prophet ﷺ, would always look for those opportunities. He did ﷺ. He always looked for an opportunity to practice this ayah. Which is why when Abu Sufyan came and told him, يعني تالله لقد آثرك الله علينا وإن كنا لخاطئين. Indeed Allah, as what the brothers of Yusuf told Yusuf, he said this to the Prophet ﷺ after trying to murder him like 100 times, after lying to him, Allahu alam how many times, after. The moment he said it, the moment he said, Tallahi laqad atharaka Allahu alayhi, the moment he said it, the Prophet ﷺ, without missing a beat, he said, لا تثريب عليكم واليوم يغفر الله لكم وأرحم الراحمين. And Ali knew that. It's Ali who told Abu Sufyan to say that. The same guy in the story. Sayyidina Ali is the one who told him. He's like, no, just say that to him. Ali's like, no question. Say that to him. You're good. You are good as good can be. Just say that. How do you know? Because I know. Because he knows that, radiallahu anhu. He knows how the Prophet ﷺ thinks. He knows that the Prophet ﷺ is living his life looking for the opportunity to practice the Quran as the Quran taught. So if he's offered that opportunity where a relative is telling him what the brothers of Yusuf told Yusuf, he will respond like Yusuf 100%. 100%. He had no doubt, Sayyidina Ali. And they were telling him, what if he orders them to behead me? He's like, no, there's no need. Just say this, I guarantee it. Because he was like that, Sayyidina Ali. He learned that from the Prophet ﷺ. So when the door was knocked and a yatim came and a miskeen came and an asir came, he had no doubt in his mind. Give it all so that we can be people, we can be these people. Because you want to be where these people are. You want to be يَشْرَبُونَ مِنْ كَأْسٍ كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا كَافُورًا عَيْنًا يَشْرَبُ بِهَا عِبَادُ اللَّهِ يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا. You want to be that person. Well then do what he said here. He described them. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. And they feed the food for his love. Subhanallah. عَلَى حُبِّهِ. Just for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Out of love for him. Out of love for him, not for anything else. It's when you do it for his love subhanahu wa ta'ala that you get all of that reward. But do it for his love. Do it because you love him. Because you love him for what he has done for you, and he will give you all that you look for. I was just telling the kids a few moments ago something, and it applies maybe here in a more mature manner, obviously, that never make your intentions petty. Make your intentions big, and all the fun stuff and good stuff will come on their own. Make really powerful intentions, good intentions, profound intentions, and all the good and fun and enjoyable stuff will just work out. If your intention is always just to have the petty stuff, the simple stuff, I just want this piece, I just want this success, I want that little bit of Jannah, I want that little bit of reward, you're going to be stuck with the small stuff. Make a big intention. Ya Rab ala hubbik, for your love, Ya Rab. Because I love you, I will feed. And then he will give you all the good stuff later. It'll just come by itself. And this is so true. Wallahi, in life, it's so true in life. If you're ambitious and you focus on the bigger picture, and you go after the great intentions that are profound and meaningful and ambitious, with a lot of aspiration, wallahi, all the good stuff will just fall in its place. And you will not live a life that is boring or upsetting. And you will be fulfilled and you will be happy. And you will have all the bliss that you want. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, you'll have the same thing. That's why when he describes these people who are sitting in Jannah, commanding Jannah to gush out kafur for them to drink. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. That's what they did. They fed for his love. Just because, SubhanAllah, one of my teachers he taught me, he loved to feed children. He loved it. He would go twice a week to an orphanage with food he cooked himself. He didn't buy it, he cooked the food and took it there, and he just sat there and fed them. And he would sit there and watch, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone with a bigger smile or a happier demeanor than when he was just watching them eat. He just enjoyed watching them eat. He just found it the most beautiful thing to see a child just stuffing his face with food. He found it fulfilling. He didn't eat, he just enjoying watching them eat. And subhanAllah, I learned, because subhanAllah, you don't think about it that way. Food is always for personal consumption. Like that's how it's seen. Like what am I going to eat next? When are we going to go out for food again? It's always me. Think about giving that joy to someone else and enjoying just that they're eating. Enjoy that they're having this inside of them. And SubhanAllah, I learned this piece from it, and it is true. If you change your mentality a little bit and you listen to this, it's actually very meaningful. And then these ibad, these people, yufuna bin nadhr, those who are good for their word and see through their covenants. Those who are fearful of the day that is uncharted evil. Those who feed food for the sake of His love, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the miskin and the yatim and the asir. What they say when they do that, they say, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. We exclusively feed you for the sake of the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ, for His face. Why? What do you mean for His face? So that we can see His face one day. So that He will unveil and allow us to see Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to see His face, Jalla Jalaluhu, which is no coincidence that it's in this surah, that they use that term. Because what is the highest level of na'im in Jannah is anything aside from seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's beautiful face. That's the highest level of Jannah. It's the people who see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala twice a day. Once in the morning, once in the evening. And in the meantime, they don't care. You can go, take your spouses, and enjoy your food and your travel. They just sit waiting for their next appointment to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they find nothing in Jannah that is even remotely close to the na'im and the pleasure that they find in looking at His face subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ. Innama is to say exclusively, the only reason it's not one of the reasons, it's the only reason that we are feeding you. The only reason we are feeding you. لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ is because we want to see the face of Allah يوم القيامة. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ. We don't want from you جَزَاءً. I don't want reward from you. وَلَا شُكُورًا. I don't want the thank you. I don't want you to be grateful. I don't want anything from you. Take the food and leave. Never look, come back if you need more. Otherwise, don't speak to me again. I don't want anything from you. I want to see His face, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the true, وَلَا تَمْنُن تَسْتَكْثِرْ, right? We recited Surat Al-Muddathir. Don't give and then wait for the return, the loyalty that it's going to build. I fed you, remember? Remember that time you needed help and I helped you? I'm running for office. I need a vote. or someone's harming. Yeah, someone said this about me. I need someone to write something better. I need someone to respond on my behalf. I need someone to support me. I need someone to strengthen. No. If you do something and you're like later on, they'll pay me back later. Yeah, no. It has to be like what they said here. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. Indeed, we are giving you, we are feeding you for the face of Allah. I want to see the face of Allah. They couldn't be more clear. لَا نُرِيد. We don't want from you. جَزَاءً. We don't want reward. Don't come pay us back later. Don't come and feed me back. I don't want you to feed me back. You don't owe me anything. You don't owe me anything. وَلَا شُكُورًا. You don't even owe me a thank you. I don't want your gratitude. I don't want it. Keep it because I want my ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the heart of a Muslim. And that's what it means to be Muslim. And that's hard. That is not easy. It's not simple. It requires a very conscious effort to get that done. I'm just letting you know that, because if you think it's going to happen on its own, if you think you're just going to, without any contemplation, reflection, or proper intention or changing of the human nafs and its desires, that you're just going to be able to give others and expect and want nothing in return, it doesn't happen that way. The nafs is absolutely against doing anything that is not in your best interest, and there's no return. The nafs has to be told there's a return. And if you tell the nafs there's no return in dunya, the only return is seeing the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yawm al-qiyamah, the nafs looks like you spoke in a different language. The nafs does not understand what you're saying. What are you talking about? Whose face and what akhirah? What do we get out of this? Who's going to be thankful? Who's going to buff up our ego? Who's going to say something nice about us? I need that, because the nafs is okay with that. The nafs is okay with any return. Just tell there's some return, even if it's a simple, petty, pitiful return. Like you're going to spend all this money, and someone's going to stand there and say, Jazak, thank you for doing this. Oh, fulan, we like to recognize. The nafs is like, good, I'm good, that's good, that's fine, khalas, I'm fine. And you're like, no, I don't want anything. Here, take it, walk away. Imam Ali Zayn al-Abidin Ibn al-Husayn alayhi salam. So the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam's great grandfather, son, the father of Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. So the Imam, the great Imam. So Ali Zayn al-Abidin, when he died, they came to wash him. and his back looked like he had been lashed like 100 times. Like his back looked really bad. It was all discolored and they asked, what happened to him? Rahmatullah alayhi, like something recent? No. Was he lashed by the Umayyads or? No. Who beat him? Nothing. Asked the wife, no idea. I never looked at his back. I didn't look at his back very often. I don't know. But there's marks on his back. They had no idea. They do the janazah, they put him in the ground and they salli and they go. A month later, people in the village, like there was this change where the baladiyya, like the people who are responsible of caring for the town he lives in, there was a surge of people coming upset, one after the other, saying, where is our monthly nasib, our monthly portion of rice, our monthly portion of wheat? We didn't receive it for the last 2 weeks. I didn't receive it for the last month. I haven't received. And the people standing there saying, received what? And what are you talking about? And said, no, every week at this hour, we would receive a bag of this, a bag of this, a bag of that. And it's been 3 weeks and we haven't received anything and we need to take care of our children. It was only after he passed away by a month they figured out that rahmatullah alayhi these marks on his back was him going at night without his wife even knowing, and making small bags of food and wheat and rice and carrying it on his back overnight and putting it in front of the houses of these people on a weekly and monthly basis. It was only after he passed away and this didn't continue that they figured out that that's why his back, because they found the stash. They found where he had stashed all of this food that he was, like where he would do, they figured out who he was buying it from, because there was a merchant coming around and saying, I haven't, where's the brother who used to buy from me? He always tells me to bring this amount every month and I brought it and no one's here to buy it from me. They patched together the puzzle that this man was doing this for 10 years. And he kept it a secret from his own wife. No one knew about this. No one could testify for it. We had to figure it out after he died. Rahmatullah alayhi. إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. We do this for the sake of Allah and to see His face, nothing else. I want nothing from you in this dunya. Learn to do that and you will live better. You will live better. You'll live a better life if you learn to give and walk away. He did, alayhi salatu wasalam. Never did he remind someone of something good he did. But if you did good something to him, he would always remind you of it. Every time he saw you, remember the time that Allah yajzik al-khair, Allah barik feek, remember the time that you did this for me. And he would repay you time and time again, and you would get like, Ya Rasulullah, it was a one time I do it. But that's how his mind is a flip of the table. Instead of seeing our favor upon people and seeing the harm of people towards us and being fixated on those two things, he turned the tables around. Yeah? And he saw the favor of people upon himself, and he was always obsessed by the mistakes that he may have been making towards others, and he was weary of harming other people. And he lived like that, alayhi salatu wasalam. If you harmed him, if he didn't, لا يغضب لنفسه alayhi. So he never gets upset for himself. You do him ma'roof, he'll pay you back. He gives you, and he forgets that he ever gave you. And he'll never bring it up ever again. It's just how he functioned, alayhi salatu wasalam, in his life. Why? Because of this. That's why. Because this is what this says. You have to understand that the Prophet ﷺ lived his life because of what the Quran explained. And the Sahaba followed him because of what the Quran explained. And that's why this ayah is commonly referred to as a Madani ayah. No, this was taught at the beginning. And then they followed. Later on. It's more beautiful that way anyways. Like it makes more sense and it's more beautiful seeing it that way. So what happened? And they continue their speech. Indeed, exclusively we feed you to see the face of Allah. We don't want anything from you in return. Inna nakhafu min rabbina. Indeed, we are fearful from our Lord. Yawman, a day. Abusan, that is a frowning day. Qamtarira, extremely frowning. So al-qamtarir is something that is so dry that so Arabs say that if you don't have a lot of food at home, at least welcome us with a smile. Like if your house is empty, then at least a smile, to welcome people in. So he's saying that they say we're fearing of the day and they describe the day figuratively. The day is so dry, it is a abus, it's frowning. Like the day itself is frowning, even though that's not literal, but it's figurative. قَمْطَرِيرًا, it's dry, there's no khayr in it. قَمْطَرِير, there's nothing in it. There's nothing good. If you twist the day, not one drop of good will come out of it. عَبُوسًا قَمْطَرِيرًا. We're afraid of that day. The same day that he describes subhanahu wa ta'ala at the beginning. يَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا كَانَ شَرُّهُ مُسْتَطِيرًا. The day that the evil is off the charts. They say the same thing. إِنَّا نَخَافُ مِنْ رَبِّنَا. Indeed, we are fearful of our Lord. يَوْمًا عَبُوسًا قَمْطَرِيرًا. A day that is frowning and that has no good in it. فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected them from the evil of that day. وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَضْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. He gave them in return, or instead of that, nadra, which is ease. And nadr is something that is moist, right? Al-qamtarir is something that is dry. There's nothing. It's dead. Nadr, I mean, there's some moistness. There's life in it. Nadratan, where they're not dehydrated. Nadr is a friend who's not dehydrated. They're well. They're in the shade. They're not in the sun frying. Nadratan wa surura, and happiness, joy, surur, to be happy, to be joyful, the smile on your face. He protected them from the evil of that day, and He gave them instead ease and joy and happiness. وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا. And then He rewarded them for their perseverance. جَنَّةً وَحَرِيرًا. A paradise and silk. A beautiful place and beautiful garments, and commodities that are beautiful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who get that, inshallah. Ameen. Let's continue. We have 5 minutes. I'll just read a few verses, then we'll. مُتَّكِئِينَ فِيهَا عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ لَا يَرَوْنَ فِيهَا شَمْسًا وَلَا زَمْهَرِيرًا وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ ظِلَالُهَا وَذُلِّلَتْ قُطُوفُهَا تَذْلِيلًا. مُتَّكِئِينَ. Ittika is when you do this. You recline. مُتَّكِئِينَ. فِيهَا عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ. Within that Jannah, within that paradise, they are reclining on their pillows. Al-ara'ik, al-arika is a pillow that is used for reclining. They're nice. They have they're drinking from the kafur. It's on demand. Whenever they want it, it'll gush right out for them. Right? Reclining on their pillows. لا يرون فيها. In this Jannah, they don't see within it shamsan. They don't see a glazing sun. So they're not hot. ولا زمهريرا. Nor are they cold. Zamharir is extreme cold, as what we have today. لا يرون فيها شمسا ولا زمهريرا. The Sahaba would ask the Prophet ﷺ, فَكَيْفَ نَرَى إِنْ كَانَ لَا شَمْسٍ. How do you see if there's no shams? قَالَ الْأَرْضُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ تُضِيء. The land in Jannah produces light. You're saying there is light everywhere without a glazing ball of fire that is burning at Allahu Alam how many million in a moment. If you come close to it, it'll absorb the planet in 5 seconds and burn us all to a crisp. No, none of that. You will have light that will be sourced from the land that you stand on, not from outside. لا يرون فيها شمسا ولا زمهريرا. Nor are they saying they're cold. It's too cold. It's the perfect weather. So they eat what they want. They drink what they want. They are physically comfortable in the way they're sitting, and the weather is perfect. Right? The weather, because that's what Shamsan wa Zamharira is referring to. It's perfect weather. It's not London in winter. It's not Riyadh in summer. It's something that works for you. So you're not too hot, you're not too cold. وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ ظِلَالُهَا. And all the shades of the trees that are surrounding them are close. وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ. It is close to them. Meaning the trees are not just standing up there doing their thing. No, they are hovering. Do you need a little bit of shade? Here's a little bit of shade. You want there's a source of light from here, a source of light from there. That's not convenient for you. Here, a reflection from a phone in your face. You can change it that way. So it moves around, and وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ ظِلَالُهَا. the shades of these of the trees surrounding them is close, is on them, it's right there beside them. وَذُلِّلَتْ قُطُوفُهَا تَذْلِيلًا. The qutuf are the fruit that they're going to take from the trees. ذُلِّلَتْ, they have been made humble. Dhul is something to have humility. So ذُلِّلَتْ means they've made easy and close. They're not, the fruit is not arrogant. The fruit is not far-fetched. It's over there. I have to think, well, we used to be so lazy. We'd sit around a few apricots up there, and I'm hungry, and I like them, but I'm not going to get up and go around. So we're gonna have a little trivia questions amongst the group to see who's going to lose. So you have to go up and get us the because we're lazy, because we don't want to get up and get on the tree and find it. So we'll find someone else to do it for us. وَذُلِّلَتْ قُطُوفُهَا. All of the fruits that you want to enjoy, ذُلِّلَتْ, they're nice and down close. They're brought down to you, تذليل. I mean, they have completely been removed from any far-fetched area. They'll come right to you. So not only are you drinking what you want, reclining, good weather, whatever you want is there to serve you the way you want to be served. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to, this is bothering me. No, we'll fix it. I want this. I have to now wait for the... No, they'll just bring it. It'll come on its own. You look at the tufaha, you want it, it'll just come right down here. Take. You don't want it, also go back again. So it's not only physical pleasure, it's also psychological. Like you are in a position where you're being spoiled. Whatever you want. Why? Because وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا. Because they were perseverant before. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. For his love, they fed. And they told people, we don't want anything from you. لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ, for the face of Allah. We don't want anything from you. Don't thank us, don't reward us. Just go and live your life. Pay it forward if you may, but I don't want anything from you. Why? Because they want to, this is what they want. They want مُتَّكِئِينَ فِيهَا عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ. They want لَا يَرَوْنَ فِيهَا شَمْسًا وَلَا زَمْهَرِيرًا. They want وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ ظِلَالُهَا. Let's recite two more. وَيُطَافُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِآنِيَةٍ مِّن فِضَّةٍ وَأَكْوَابٍ كَانَتْ قَوَارِيرَا مِن فِضَّةٍ قَدَّرُوهَا تَقْدِيرًا. وَيُطَافُ عَلَيْهِمْ, and they are being passed upon by the servants, going around with بِآنِيَةٍ مِّن فِضَّةٍ, with vessels of silver. وَأَكْوَابٍ, and cups. وَأَكْوَابٍ كَانَتْ قَوَارِيرًا, made of crystal. قَوَارِيرَ مِن فِضَّةٍ, crystalline, that is mixed with silver. So it's a crystal that is made that has silver within its own texture. قَوَارِيرَ مِن فِضَّةٍ قَدَّرُوهَا تَقْدِيرًا, and they will put in it the exact amount of drink that you like. How much do you want? They'll put what you want. Not less, not more. قَدَّرُوهَا تَقْدِيرًا. They will estimate and they will measure the amount they're going to put for you, and it's exactly how you want it. So not only are you drinking, you are drinking from the cups themselves are luxury. Yeah? And there are people going around with them to see, do you want? آنية من فضة وأكواب. You have two. You have آنية and you have أكواب. You have something that is empty, آنية, they're just empty vessels, so that you can say, fill that with this, or akwab, cups that already are filled with whatever you want, whatever, they're already filled with the wine of Jannah or whatever in Jannah. And these akwab are from crystal, and this crystal is made of silver, is within it. وَقَوَارِيرَ مِن فِضَّةٍ قَدَّرُوهَا تَقْدِيرًا. All of it has been perfected. So even the details of the service that you're receiving has been perfected. Forget about sometimes you go to you're hungry, so you go to a restaurant, and honestly, the food, but you're too hungry to know the difference. When you're really hungry, all food tastes great. When you're very hungry, it doesn't matter. And the service can be horrible, and the whole place can be. But you're so hungry, it doesn't matter. You're like, this is the best meal because you're so hungry. Right? In Jannah, that's not how it is. No, it's not that the food is good but the service is bad. No, no, no. The service is perfected. They're going to come around upon you, and they're going to have on their, as they carry around, they're going to have the vessels, and they're going to have the cups, and some will be empty that you can ask to have something put in, and the others will be filled to perfection exactly how you want them, and you can choose what you want. قَوَارِيرَ مِن فِضَّةٍ قَدَّرُوهَا تَقْدِيرًا. Why is he talking about this, subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because he's saying, look, if you do your job here, you don't have to worry about a thing there. He will take care of everything for you. You will sit and drink whatever you want, reclining, enjoying the weather. Everything is close by. The service is meticulous, it's beautiful, it's magnificent. It's how you enjoy it. What more would you want? What more are you looking forward to? How could you choose this over that? Why would you choose this over what he has in store for you, subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is the argument that's being made in Surat Al-Insan. All of this I have in store. Why choose this? This is a time to prove yourself. Prove yourself worthy of this so I can give it to you, instead of asking for it now, which it was never designed to be here to begin with. He didn't design this world for this stuff to be here. So stop asking for it to happen now. He designed akhirah for it to exist in. So prove yourself worthy of it and then go and recline and enjoy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from Ahlul Jannah. Allahumma ameen. I'll end with that, inshallah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bihamdik, shanu la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Jazakumullah khair.